I'm Sam. I'm going to do the neonatal assessment. So during this, I'm going to maintain the patient's safety, privacy, and warmth throughout it. I would have like a blanket or a towel or something that I would use, but we don't. This is our little makeshift table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to introduce myself to the parents, tell them that I'm going to be their nurse for the day or night or however long I'm going to be here. I'm going to make sure that I wash my hands. I'm going to close the curtain, it already is closed. And then I'm going to check the chart before I get in here, make sure the patient doesn't have any allergies, and make sure that we're doing, well, I'm like not even in the picture. Squats. Making sure that what we're doing today. Plan of care, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to start off with the general survey, and that's just going to be looking at the patient, making sure that they are all lines. So I asked the parents about the birth history, make sure that they to see if the child was a C-section baby, full term, preterm, any complications, stuff like that. Next, we're going to check for the vital signs. I'm going to place my hand on the baby's chest and count the respirations for 1 minute. I'm also going to take the heart rate. That's going to be apical. Also counted for 1 minute. Next will be a temperature. If they haven't already, then I'll do it rectally, and that'll test the anus, make sure that the anus is patent. Otherwise, we'll do an axillary temperature. We can even do oral. After that, we're going to start measuring the patient in centimeters. And tuck it underneath just a little bit, make sure that it's nice and straight. We're going to measure from the top of the head, to the base of the heel, and we'll stretch the baby out as much as we can. We can't because it's a mannequin. We're also going to make sure that the patient is weighed in kilograms. We'll put them in the little baby scale. We're also going to do the head circumference, and that will be, during this we're going to make sure that we don't give any paper cuts. And that will be right above the eyebrows, the fullest part of the head. After that, we're going to check the chest circumference. I'm going to lift up the shirt. We're going to go right underneath the axilla. Right at the nipple line is what we're going to measure. Also in centimeters. Like I said earlier, I would be maintaining warmth throughout this whole thing, and hopefully the patient would be in one of the little warmers. Next is going to be just the general appearance. We're going to look at the body's alignment, make sure that the patient is symmetric, all the extremities, the face, the eyes, the nose, just full alignment. We're going to check muscle tone a little bit, and that could be the kicking, grasping of the finger, moving the arms. Just make sure that it's bilateral. At this time, hopefully the patient would have cried a little bit, and we can assess that. And if he hasn't, she hasn't, then we will assess that when it happens. Next, we're going to check the skin, and we're going to check for the vernix caseosa, and that's the little cream cheese-like stuff. And if the patient is, if he's coming to us a little later, then there's a good chance we might not see it. So we're going to make sure that we check all of the folds in the baby, the back of the knees, the elbows, underneath the armpits. For females especially, also in the genital area. So we remove the diaper and check in the folds. Next is the malia, and that is the little white spots on the cheeks. Also can be normal. The lanugo is next. I think I'm pronouncing these things right. And that is the fine downy hairs that the patient can have on the back, on its back, and on the shoulders. And we've checked for those. It can also be in the back of the arms and the ears. We can see them and feel them. The erythema toxicum is redness on the trunk and on the face. So we check the bottom and do this. We check the bottom, and this can also include acne, little baby acne. So we check the bottom as well. While we're doing this, we're also going to check for the Mongolian spots, and those are bruise-like spots that are normally found on the face, and on the butt we would have checked that as well. We have to make sure that these are documented accurately, including location, size, and shape, because they can be mistaken for abuse, as they are bruise-like. They look like bruises. Alright, and last is the petechia. And those are the little red dots that are found on the face and on the normally on the face. They're red or purple, and they're just burst blood vessels. But if we see them all over the place, then that can hint to sepsis. They can also be found in the trunk. The next we're going to be looking for is the acrocyanosis, and that's where the patient is. That's the color of the patient. She should be pink all over, and if we see blue or purple hands and feet, that is normal. It will go away in a couple of days. Next is the Harlequin sign. The Harlequin sign that we'll also be looking for is redness, is arrhythmia on half of the body, whether it's longitudinal or longitudinal. All right, next we're going to go to the head. The skin is finished. I'm going to turn the baby just a little bit. We're going to check the head. And I'm going to check the fontanelles first. The first one should be right about here. It's going to be the larger one. That's the anterior fontanelle, and that'll be nice and large and diamond shaped. Next is going to be in the back, and I'm going to trace my fingers up to feel the triangle shaped one in the posterior fontanelle. We're also going to be checking for molding, and that's just if the patient's head is a little squished after birth. Next is the cephalohematoma. Cephalohematoma. There you go. And that's going to be located in one of the sides on the parietal lobes, and it'll be a little bump that we'll feel for, and it'll be warm as well. Next is the caput succedaneum. Close up. Yeah. And those are the crossing of the sutures right along the midline. We'll be feeling for that as well. Next, we're going to be going to the face, and we're going to be making sure that it is symmetrical. He has 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 2 ears, and they are all aligned with each other, as well as with the face, and that they're not deviated or lower than the other. For the eyes, we're going to be looking at the iris color. I'm going to be looking at the iris color. Shine my pen light. I would have a pen light. Forgot mine. I would shine my pen light into the patient's eyes. And I'll be looking for bilateral reaction to the light and as well as accommodation. If I don't see it immediately, that is normal. Immediately after the patient's birth, we would just check frequently before we see it because the patient is yet to be used to it. So the iris color, it would be gray or blue, and that's what we were looking for. Sometimes we can see brown. We're also going to be looking for strabismus. There we go. And that can be the crossing of the eyes or lazy eye, which is also normal for the first couple of days. And we're also going to be looking at the conjunctiva. I'm going to bring the eyes down just a little bit as much as possible up, and hopefully it'll be white, or making sure that it's not yellow. Next, we're going to be looking at the ears. The ears, both sides, should be bilateral and aligned properly. They should be well formed. And next, we're going to be checking on the nose. We've already made sure that it is symmetrical. And if we can't feel it with our fingers or hear it already, we can use the bell of the stethoscope to make sure that each nostril is pink bilaterally. Mouth is next. We're going to inspect, of course, check for cracks, anything. We're going to palpate as well, and this includes sticking our finger into the patient's mouth, which I cannot do here. So we stick our finger into the patient's mouth, feel the roof of the mouth, the hard palate. We'll be checking for any deviations of any kinds, like a cleft palate. We're also going to stick it further, which will engage the gag reflex, so I can assess that as well. And we'll be checking the soft palate, palpating that for any holes that can lead to inadequate nutrition and failure to thrive. During crying, At this point, or even just the patient opening up its mouth, I'll be checking for Epstein's pearls along the sides, or just little cyst-like polyps along the little spots along the side. Here, check. Well, next will be while I have my finger in there, I can be assessing the tongue and its movement and make sure that it is bilateral and its grasp around my finger, as well as the suck and swallow reflexes with that. Next, we're going to be going to the neck, and the babies at this age should not have a neck. Not yet, at least. We'll be inspecting it, and I'll be inspecting the clavicle as well. I'll lower the down as much as I can. I'm going to feel to make sure that they are intact and bilateral. I'll also keep my fingers there, move the patient's arm up and down, and I'll be feeling for crepitus during this. And that can mean that the patient's clavicle was either accidentally or intentionally broken during the birthing process. Next, we're going to go to the chest, and like I said earlier, I'm still going to be maintaining warmth and safety during this video. So I'm going to look at the chest. If we were at the hospital, hopefully I would be able just to bring it down from the top, but I'm going to bring it down from the bottom. Bring it up from the bottom so I can have a good view of the chest from here. Alright, so here I'm going to be looking at the appearance and making sure that the shape of the chest is more cylindrical versus barrel. I'm also going to be looking at symmetric chest expansion, so I can put my hand on it and feel, and I would spread it over this way so you can see. I'll spread it over so I can see during the inspiration and expiration because they're tummy breathers as well, abdominal breathers. So I'll be feeling for equal chest expansion. I'll also be looking at the nipples, make sure that they are aligned and equal, that there's no engorgement. I'll also be looking for the size of them, as well as if there are any extra nipples. During this, I'll also be looking for any breast buds, and that will be that's a reaction to the mother's hormones during the birthing process, and that's normally with babies that are further in the gestation process. Next, we're going to be listening to breath sounds. They should be clear throughout the whole time of breathing. I'm not going to, we'll just listen as we can. The next time I turn the patient over, I'm going to listen to his back as well. During this, I'll also listen to apical pulse. I can use the bell of my stethoscope if I cannot hear it, or if I hear a murmur. I'll be checking for that as well. If the patient's, going back to the breath sounds, if the patient's breath sound is a little moist, it can be that way for the first 30 minutes to an hour after natural birth or after a C-section. It's very normal because they swallow some of the fluid. And patients moms who have had a C-section without an actual birth at all, if their first baby is a C-section, that child runs a higher risk for having fluid in the lungs. So I'll be listening at the herbs point as well with my bell, the bell of my stethoscope, for the PDA murmur. That's a specific one. Next, we'll be going to the abdomen. And I'm going to inspect the abdomen as well, and this will be for protrusion but not distension. I'm going to be looking at the umbilicus and at the little stump, the cord stump. When I look in it, I should see 2 arteries and 1 vein, as well as some of Wharton's jelly around it, which is just white matter around it. That's also very normal. It can also be green from the birthing process if there's any any poop, if the baby poops during the birth. I'm going to list meconium, right. I almost said that wrong. Next, I'm going to listen to the bowel sounds 30 minutes to an hour after natural birth and after a breastfeeding mom. They should have bowel sounds. I'm going to listen to the bowel sounds in all 4 quadrants, see if they're active. I'm also going to be checking for the elimination patterns. The baby should, sometimes they void during the procedure. They urinate during the birthing process, and other times it should be an hour after. They should have voided their first time. Bowel movements are 12 to 24 hours afterwards. However, they can also happen during the birthing process. That's called meconium, which we mentioned earlier. Next, we're going to go down to the genitals. And we're going to start with the female because she is female. She has lady parts. We're going to be checking for any discharge as well as changing the diaper if they have voided or had a bowel movement. We're going to be looking for pseudomenstruation, which is normally happens after the patient needs, but that's a good teaching point to teach the moms and the dads that can happen and that is normal. We're going to be checking to make sure that the labia completely covers the clitoris, which in this case it does. If it has a little gap, that's fine as well. For a male, cover this baby up. For a male, we're going to check the meatus. We're going to make sure that it's at the tip of the penis. And then if it's, and that means that the baby is okay for circumcision. If it's further up or further down, that baby cannot be circumcised. We would also check the testes and the location of the testes. We could put our fingers at the inguinal, right here. Right, we'll put ourselves at the inguinal spot. Yeah, we're doing okay. Okay, thank you. And then I would palpate the testes at the same time to make sure that they are both there. Next, we're going to be looking for rugae on the scrotum, which are just the little folds. Also, the voiding patterns, as you mentioned earlier. Next, we're going to go to the extremities. We're going to be looking for equal and bilateral movement in all extremities. We're also going to be checking at muscle tone, as we did earlier. We'll also check the fingers and the toes to make sure that they can grip as well as expand. We'll be looking for that. We can do the Babinski sign on the feet to check for spreading, and then we would also press at the top to make sure that they can curl as well. That's how we'll check the fingers and the toes. We would do range of motion in all of them, which includes flexion and extension of every joint, as well as abduction and adduction when necessary, and inversion of the feet, of the legs, and of the hips, as well as supination and pronation of the wrists. Next, we're going to check for the hip dislocation. We're going to do Barlow's maneuver, which we bring the knees up. Bring the knees up towards the chest. Up towards the chest. We open up the legs, bring them out, and push up, checking for hip dislocation or big clanks. Little clicks are normal. We're also going to bring them up and press down as well to check for hip dislocation on both sides. Next, we're going to be checking the spinal column and the vertebrae. We're going to tip the patient's head over, supporting their neck the entire time, head and neck the whole time. There we go. We're going to check, I'll move this up. I'm going to inspect the back as well, palpate the spine all the way down, checking for any dips. We'll also be checking for dimples. During this time, I'm going to not hit the baby with my stethoscope. I'm going to listen to the breath sounds on the back. Okay. Next, we're going to do reflexes. We're going to do the moral reflex first. We'd lift the baby's arms up off of the ground, up off of the table, and the baby should make a C or almost an O with the arms, which is normal. The next is going to be the tonic neck, and that's when the baby turns its head to one side, and then at that time, the extremities on that side, arm and leg, should extend, while the others will curl up. We have already checked the palmar of the plantar, the rooting, sucking, and swallowing reflexes as well as the Babinski, right, during the assessment already. Next, we're going to do the stepping reflex. That's when we're going to support the baby's head and neck, stand them up. We're going to have one foot touch the table, and when this happens, that foot should release and should flex. And then the other leg would go down and touch the table, and it would happen almost in a stepping motion. Next is going to be the trunk. It's an incursion, or the gallant. There we go, gallant one. The gallant reflex. Going to have the patient lay prone, which is the only time, and we instruct the parents that this is the only time that the patient is to lay prone. And while they are like this, we will stroke gently their side, and at this time, both the arm and the leg should curl up. And we do that quickly. During this time, we're going to be checking for the behavior. During this whole time, we would have seen the behavioral aspects of this, and that'll be deep and light sleep, as well as active and quiet, intense crying, as well as active and quiet alertness, drowsiness, and that's it. Thank you for joining us.